All right, everyone. I previously reported on the upcoming ostrich cull up in Canada. They were starting to set up equipment to try to kill all of these birds, and there's really no reason for it. We'll get into that. They had like a hay bale barrier, and they were going to try to corral them so they could just kick them off, basically. And this was never really something that was necessary or acceptable. It's not acceptable in the sense that you're destroying life forms for literally no reason. And it wasn't necessary because there's no evidence of the underlying claim that the Canadian Health Service actually issued saying, well, last year, several of these ostriches died of avian flu. Therefore, because we're not 100% sure that avian flu can't, end up in the ostriches and lay dormant and then break out and then birds get sick and stuff, we have to kill and burn them all. The thing is, there's also no evidence that it can do that. We know that pasteurization can denature H1N5 virus. We know that. This has been proven at this point. Pasteurization works. If pasteurization works, then probably your ostrich burger is safe to eat. There is literally no public health crisis here. And the Canadian government denied them the ability to institute a secondary test. So, they were tested before. Some of them were positive, but there's no evidence of disease in the flock. They don't even know that any of these birds are sick. And certainly, if they are sick, some of them appear to be asymptomatic. I would think they would want to do medical research on them and buy them from these farmers more than anything else. Unfortunately, Canada is not run by sane people, so that is not the choice that they decided to make. I'm Team Ostrich. You've had increasing protest activity there. Local businesses have forced agents from the Canadian government out of motels. They removed the hay bales. The contracting company that was working on, I guess, some sort of scaffold is basically shooting stands. They've withdrawn. So the Canadian government right now really finds itself in a fairly fucked up situation where it has managed to anger the majority of the population of Canada, it seems, because people aren't being taken in by the nonsense that the government needs to swoop in and exert undue authoritarian influence simply because people are afraid of getting a cold, which is basically what's going on here. There is virtually, there are only a very small number of cases of people actually getting avian flu from products. Remember, this was a couple months ago. You remember when they tried to scare us into basically not eating any meat at all? Well, cow milk might be infected. Beef might be infected. Other poultry and livestock will be infected. Pigs can get infected. Yes, it's possible to carry a virus and test positive for it without getting sick. It's also possible that asymptomatic variants are arising that might actually be beneficial, a form of natural inoculation for a particular virus. We're not looking at a human epidemic here. We're looking at very sporadic cases of people getting sick, usually recovering, although H1N5 is more lethal than many other flu-like viruses. There's no reason to panic. And thankfully, people this time around, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, they aren't panicking. That's what has the Canadian government panicking, it seems. Businesses don't want to work with them. Farmers don't want to work with them. People are protesting them. They were decrying it. The other day, it was hilarious. The Canadian government was whining, oh, we've had increasingly confrontational protests near and around the farm. Yeah, no shit. You're trying to kill a bunch of animals for absolutely no reason without, I believe, even compensating the people that own them, so that they can watch all of their prized birds burned alive in a pit. That makes a lot of sense. And nobody could possibly be pissed at that sort of thing. But the RFIA now, they've got a new complaint. Their new complaint is that it poses an ongoing health risk to the public. When the people interacting with the birds are all wearing hazmat suits, as generally they are, and nobody else is getting near them, nobody's eating them, they're not dying, they don't seem to be sick, there's no evidence of sickness, you don't even know that there's any even asymptomatic sickness there. Why would there be a public health crisis? This is not Ebola. This is not the Black Plague. This is a virus that is now endemic to the world. You are not going to get rid of it. I would use these birds, I would buy the birds at a premium for research purposes. hey, if we take a blood sample of this and we process it and we figure it out, maybe we can find something that will actually inoculate against the variant that actually kills a bunch of birds and may infect humans, rarely, although, and prevent this from happening. They could do that, but that would require intelligence. It would also require effort. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort to kill a bunch of ostriches when you've penned them in, and then you just raise them all and then burn them in a pit. Although I would say that the Australians did not fare very well against emus during the Emu War. It was a little bit less hyperbolic than sometimes presented as a meme, but there were some problems encountered. It'd be funny if the ostriches just leaped over the hay bales and then made it out into the wilderness and became an endemic species there or something like that. Stranger things have happened. Just look at killer bees, for example. The Canadian government deserves condemnation and scorn, actually, for making this decision. The birds are not sick. They're quite clearly healthy. I would go there right now and be perfectly happy and feel perfectly safe eating a couple of ostrich burgers. In fact, I would love to do that right now because they're actually really great stuff. It tastes a little bit like chicken, like everything else on Earth apparently does, but better. It's got a little bit more of a grainy texture. It's a little bit more gamey and grainy, but it has a really, really good flavor. You just gotta make sure not to overcook it. Had ostrich burgers one time, actually, when I was a kid, when we were out at Silver Lake. It's a popular tourist destination in the summer. Man, I thought that those were great. And I thought it was cool because I mean, I'm fucking eating ostrich. Small town America back in the 1990s. Did you see ostrich on the shelf? No. You were lucky if you could find buffalo. That was about as exotic as it got back in the day. People are spoiled these days. God damn those kids. Sit on your porch and throw things at people and rant angrily. Now, what gets me angry, though, is that the Canadian government and their health services are not acknowledging a basic observable reality. There is no sickness there. It's no epidemic. Birds aren't dropping down and spasming out and dying or anything like that. They're not sick. This is like going into a hospital and saying, well, you had a plague case in here, so we have to burn all of the patients alive because somebody could have, they could have contracted plague. It could be a real public health crisis. It's literally no different. It's exactly the same. If it were with humans, they wouldn't dare to do that. Why are you doing it with other sentient beings? It makes no sense. That's good meat. That's good eating. Why don't you let me take the goddamn ostriches? I'll eat them for you. I'll be eating meat for a very long time, considering their size. I wonder what their necks taste like. Probably rubbery and weird, but, waste not, want not. The Canadian government doesn't know what it's doing. Their only response, basically speaking, is, well, it could endanger public health. Could. That's the primary word in that sentence. It could, but it isn't. And that's the primary word that should be used by people that are opposed to this kind of heavy-handed, nonsensical, thug-like authoritarianism. Because that's exactly what it is. I mean, it's the Canadian government, so it doesn't surprise me. It's just, in general, it's wrong. That's about all. Peace out.